And thank you. Correction, Eden, I should have said. In other news, Donald Trump gained another 44 delegates after Washington's primary. Here now to discuss more are political commentators J.C. Polanco and Mariah Starr as we are getting closer to November. And, as we keep laughing every week because this is a conversation that we probably thought we weren't going to have, but we are having and we continue to have. But let's look at this, though. Donald Trump wins at least 40 delegates on Tuesday with 4 still left to be allocated. 1,209 delegates right now. And it seems as though this will happen in just a few minutes.
You know what's funny about BronxNet is you said we never thought we would be having this conversation. You actually have footage of me saying that last year at this time.
Right. I didn't play it because I just wanted, I want to save credibility here.
I can't believe it. It's true. I mean, the guy is on automatic pilot, and he's going to soar into the nomination. The next primary should give him enough delegates to reach the 1,237 that he needs. Yeah. And this is a wrap. Now it's just a matter of seeing how many Republicans are going to come out and actually support him. Republicans that were never Trump, Republicans that rejected his positions on Mexicans and Muslims and on women and on handicapped folk. It's now a matter of seeing how many of those guys are going to do it. And can I tell you, many have. The latest incredible reversal has been from Senator Lindsey Graham, who actually now has been telling large donors to consider supporting Donald Trump. Once he said that, I'm floored. I can't believe it to this day. So I think that most of the establishment is going to be solidly behind Donald Trump.
That's so strange. I mean, you had the Never Trump movement, and you had intellectual elites like George Will, David Brooks, Ross Douthat, New York Times, all saying, don't vote for this guy, do not support him. He represents everything the Republican Party is against. And yet now they're coalescing around him. Why?
Well, those guys haven't. Those guys that you mentioned, George Will hasn't.
Well, obviously the consensus is that the best chance to beat Hillary Clinton is to have a unified party. And right now it seems as though what we're seeing across Washington is unified ranks.
And you know what's interesting is Donald Trump in the last week has closed in on a poll that just last week when we were here had him 11 points behind, and now he's within the margin of error. I don't know what's going to happen to Hillary Clinton if Bernie Sanders keeps beating her up in these remaining primaries. But Donald Trump is just sitting back and watching and using the same talking points that Senator Sanders is using against Hillary and launching them on Twitter. And he's closing in on those polls.
Yeah, let me ask Mariah this. How smart would it be for Bernie Sanders for Democratic, insiders to say, look, Senator Sanders, great run. Stop now if we really want to win this come November.
They can say that, but the bottom line here is it isn't really about Sanders' attacks on Clinton. It's about the Republican Party base forming up around Trump. Clinton's base has not yet formed up. Her numbers are still eroding because of Sanders' supporters, mainly young people and white liberals not coming over to her side yet. But no matter what happens, whether Sanders drops out now or drops out after the convention, her numbers will solidify. This always happens between August and November.
This is not conventional election cycle. I don't see that happening. You know, you've seen the poll, Mariah. 66% of Bernie Sanders supporters view themselves actually supporting Hillary Clinton. That's as opposed to 85% of Republicans that are comfortable with Donald Trump, and over 90% of them that are going to come out and support him on election day. You don't have that same support, and there's a lot of vitriol against Hillary Clinton right now, in my opinion, sadly, at the hands of a guy who's not even a Democrat. This is something that I think a lot of supporters of Bernie Sanders don't understand. And if I were a Democrat, I'd be furious. Here you have a guy who's never lifted a finger for the Democrats, never fundraised for the Democrats, wanted to be the Democratic nominee for president, and in doing so is destroying your front runner to the point that Donald Trump is literally taking the statements that Bernie Sanders is making, tweeting them, and closing in on those polling numbers. I think that you got to address that issue because just simply saying that that's not what's happening is just not correct.
So there are two things that I find very surprising about this entire election. The first is, as a political scientist, the science has not shown up in this election. And that's very unusual for an election to completely defy all of the models and predictions. It's just, how does that happen? But the other thing is, you're right, Clinton has had 25 years of attacks on her. So it's bound to add up.
Yeah, but here's the question. I think that people who say we support Bernie Sanders, have to say, I'm going to give some time to think about whether or not I really want to support Hillary Clinton. We've had conversations about this before where Trump's supporters are saying, listen, as soon as Sanders backs out, they're coming over to support Bernie Sanders. There's going to have to be some time, if you will, to really bring those Sanders supporters over if Hillary Clinton wants to be successful. And you don't have much time if you go to the convention. Agree, disagree?
Agree. And in fact, from everyone I've talked to who's supported Sanders, they have no intention of voting for Clinton. They will go to the voting booth and either write in Sanders or vote for Trump.
Mariah has
They
said
will
what
do
I
that.
can say. Now that's on the record. Now I have film. You have film.
They will do that.
You both have film, right?
I tell you now, because now you're on the record. But you see, this is what's so interesting about this entire campaign. I mean, if you look at what's going on with Bernie Sanders, he keeps saying, I'm going to take this to the end. He's mathematically eliminated. What he's doing to Hillary, by the way, you mentioned 25 years. She has 25 years of attacks, but at the same time, she has 25 years worth of name recognition. And it's one of those things where if you don't know me by now, right? If you don't know Hillary by now, you're really, I don't know what cave you've been hiding in. So your opinion of Hillary is solid. It's probably not going to change. And this is what's even scarier for the Democrats. I don't know if you've had these nightmares, but I've had these nightmares where I'm fighting a monster, and every time I get a good hit, he gets bigger. Have you had? It's like the Incredible Hulk. That's Donald Trump. Every single time you have one good hit where you think this is it, Trump University. Oh, this is it. He made fun of handicapped people. Oh, I got him now with the Mexican Taco Bowl thing. Every time you come and launch a laser attack or punch on this guy, his poll numbers get better. I don't understand what's happening. We've never seen this before. And I think that Hillary is not going to be able to bring anything to Trump that's going to reduce those numbers. Marco Rubio tried it. Ted Cruz tried it. And where are they now? They're back home. There's no way any attacks on Donald Trump is going to work, in my opinion.
So if you're in the Democratic Party, you're looking at the situation, you see what's going on, what would be your advice right now?
My advice would be let it play out.
Really?
Yes. Allow the campaign to proceed. Allow the Sanders liberals to get their arguments out and to feel satisfied that they've been heard. And then when it comes to the convention, broker a convention so that it's Sanders as the nominee, Clinton as the VP, or vice versa. Either way, have them team up and provide a united front so that groups can come together in November. That's the best strategy.
That Transformer Voltron mix that you just heard from Mariah is probably the only ticket that can take Donald Trump out in November. If those two unified, I cannot imagine what would happen to the electorate. However, I don't see it happening. And there's a lot of bad blood between these two. There's a lot of
There's a lot of bad blood on the Republican side.
You're not going to see.
You got Chris Christie now bear hugging.
But you see, they're bear hugging. They're singing Kumbaya. None of that is going on with the Democrats.
Not yet.
Now, it won't happen. Listen, you know that for a fact. Have you seen these Democrats? These Democrat Sanders supporters are angry at Hillary. They're attacking her. As a matter of fact, they're copy and pasting Donald Trump tweets and putting them on their Facebook. There might as well be staffers for Donald Trump. And who are we kidding? This is not exactly a regular Democratic primary. Here you have a bunch of crazy activists, a lot of good guys. I know, like my friend Assemblyman Luis Sepulveda, before he blasts me, I know he's supporting, and Richie Torres, good guys. But for the most part, these are dudes that are getting involved now that are not really into politics, but they're excited about the things that he's saying, and they're going to disappear after Sanders is gone. They have no interest in coming back to vote for him. If you put him on that ticket, like Mariah mentioned, that would be insane. I don't see how we beat that ticket in November.
That would be the magic formula, though, for beating Trump. And the thing about Trump that's so interesting, there's a saying, what you give attention to grows. And Trump is proving that. But we also live in the age of social media. Twitter and Facebook, these were not around in 2008. These were not really factors in terms of how citizens engage with politics. So Trump is maximizing on Twitter. So is Sanders. They're bringing the new media into play in politics, and this is a game changer right there. So that's why the science is defying all these things. Like, we don't have a model for this yet. It's a brand new territory that we're in. So I'm looking forward to seeing what will happen. How will the Democrats come together? Can they come together and defeat what essentially is the most disliked Republican nominee in modern politics?
And the most disliked Democratic nominee in modern politics in Hillary Clinton. By the way, there are attacks that are going both ways that are not going to stick. And I think you've seen them on Twitter and on Facebook and on commercials. As far as Donald Trump calling Hillary a liar and Hillary calling Donald Trump a liar, these are two huge liars. liars. S.E. Cupp wrote a great article on how the American people have basically said, we don't care who the liars are anymore. These are our nominees. So not one candidate has the moral high ground, as you say, in this campaign. And quite frankly, this is going to be picking the lesser of two evils. I think that's the consensus that most of us have.
Well, I think that's a consensus across America that they're picking the lesser of two evils, but certainly it gets a whole lot more interesting as the weeks go by. So you got to come back next week, and we'll break down some more stuff. J.C. Moran, good to have you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All righty. Got to move on with the show here. In other news, the 2016 Van Cortlandt Conservancy Gala, its initiative was to celebrate 4 leaders who've helped sustain one of New York's green spaces. Our BronxNet cameras were there, and our correspondent, Arlene Makoko, has more.